Hello to all of my Palestinians out there. Uh, I gotta say, my videos, ever since we left B Dutch's channel, my videos have been getting like 30 views a pop, which is crazy because it's reasonable to think that that's just the YouTube algorithm that they use to make sure that you're not committing copyright infringement, and myself. So I don't even know if anybody hears these things or whatever, but hello to you, internet algorithms. My name is Case, but you guys can call me Whitey if you want. Just a little background about myself. I'm the type of asshole that will like pass judgment on people for eating McDonald's and fast food and that kind of shit. And then right after that, I'll drink NOS, an energy drink named after a chemical shown to combust bright green in the movie The Fast and the Furious. So that's the kind of idiot I am. Just like, I see you, I see you eating some KFC over there. You enjoy your transitive fats, man. I choose life, and then I just guzzle down this fucking jet fuel raptor piss. Yeah, and this is Palecast. It's basically just me talking about shit that happens during the week or month or whatever. Um, Basically, this thing came out of me always wanting to try stand up comedy but never having the balls. So it's a little bit easier to just kind of be in my basement with a beer and talking on my phone than it is to get up in front of a bunch of people. Um, Comedians, professional comedians, are supposed to have these like crazy epiphanies or realizations about the way that we live and then present them to people in a manner that is humorous. But I can't do that yet, so I'm pretty much just gonna tell stories of like stupid shit that happens to me. A couple weeks ago, I went over to my friend's house. Um, all of my friends, the people that I surround myself with, they come from fairly wealthy families. We're just at the point now where people are starting to move out and shit. But for the most part, when I was hanging out with everybody, it would be at like their parents' house, and a lot of them are very well off. This particular friend that I was going to is very well off. His parents are very successful, and I'd been in their house before, but never had like the free roam. Like nobody was home this time, and it was just two couples hanging out. So we were kind of like walking around the place, and they took me into the quote unquote big room, which is interesting because most people like there's different tiers. Like basically, I come from three bedroom, two kids in the house, and there's pretty much just like bundles of shit everywhere, like just like loose clothes and like Rubbermaid bins everywhere. We fold laundry on the pool table, which is actually just to my left right now. So that's one way. And then most of my friends, they'll have like I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but a lot of people will have like the fancy room that they don't really use for anything. It just kind of looks nice. It's just kind of there. That's one step up. These guys have what they call the big room, and I'm walking around in there, and I turn around, and I notice that they have three shelves with books and knickknacks and stuff on it, and attached to that, this is the first time I've ever seen it in the flesh, there was a library ladder. Like the ladder that is attached to the shelves and is on a little slider so it can go up and down. And I'd never seen one before, and I was rather taken aback by it. Because when you get right down to it, there's the big house, there's the nice car, all kind of ways that you can spend your money. But there is nothing more frivolous, more arrogant. I put to you that the library ladder is the single greatest symbol of personal wealth and success you will ever find. And there it was, just staring me in the face. So a couple weeks ago, I took my girlfriend to New York City. We saw Patton Oswalt, the famous comedian, doing stand-up at Carnegie Hall. It was like a big deal. So we were going out there, took the train in, a lot of fun. My friends have been telling me, I think Brandon was actually the first person to tell me about Uber, which is essentially people can register their personal vehicles, and it's like the same as like a cab. And I want to try it out. I figured that this was a perfect opportunity because we were going to be going to New York, and it was that weekend when it was like 2 degrees out. So we didn't want to walk all the way there. It was kind of out of walking distance to get from Grand Central to Carnegie Hall, and then on top of that, it was already freezing. So we were like, yeah, we're gonna take a cab. My girlfriend signed up for Uber. She registered with her name and her email address and that kind of stuff. And when we got to Grand Central, you put in where you are, where you want to go, and we're like, okay, so then we'll just go over here and wait. Within seconds, it's showing us. You can see on the GPS right where your driver is, and then he's on his way. Great, right? And then she's looking at the thing and she reads the name, and it's one of those names that's not It's basically it's the name of our enemy. It's our enemy in the Middle East is one of those people that's picking us up. I'm not against that. That's fine. Whatever. So we go up, and I'm not really knowing what to expect. We go outside, and while we're waiting, I got harassed by 2 crazy people walking around. But sure enough, this guy showed up. His car was brand new, black Toyota Avalon, clean. Everything was nice. A little bit of small talk on the way there, and we were there. $12. It's over, and it was great. And I was like, oh, this service is kind of, it sounds kind of sketchy because you're just getting into, but it was legit. It was nice. And then we watched the show. Patton did absolutely amazing. We get out, plug in that we want to go back to Grand Central. The car is there in a couple seconds. They give you a phone call, and we're like, okay, we're coming out. We go outside, and there's another Middle Eastern looking gentleman in a black car. We're looking for another black Toyota, and he's waving us over. So we leave Carnegie Hall, we get right in, and the guy's like, okay, where are you going? I was like, what? I was like, don't you know? Like, doesn't the service tell you? And he's like, oh, no, I didn't. I'm not programmed for a ride. I saw a crowd of people, so I waited outside. And we were like, oh, we're sorry. We must have gotten in the wrong vehicle. My mistake. He's like, no, it's cool. He's like, you can just cancel the other one. If you do it within a certain amount of time, there's no charge. He's like, you can just transfer the thing to me and it's fine. We're like, oh, all right, cool. So we cancel the other car, and I explained to him, can we please go to Grand Central? And he's driving us there. And basically, from talking to this guy for a little while, he's like, yeah, Uber's a great service. I'm piss wasted at this point, by the way. But he's saying, he's like, Uber's, it's a great service. All this stuff. The only thing that sucks is they take 30% of your fares. And then he says, so that's why I don't use it anymore. And I was like, wait a minute. You're not through Uber. We didn't. He's like, nah. So at this point, I just realized that essentially we just hopped into some guy's car in a strange city that I'm not from. And we're in the back seat of this guy's Mercedes with no semblance of a guarantee of safety or service or anything like that. And it's amazing how when you're put in a position like that, how even the simplest questions of small talk can sound like a prelude to a rape. Okay? So we're driving around, the guy's like, so, where are you from? And I was like, Connecticut. He's like, oh. There's a lot of rich people in Connecticut, right? And at this point, I'm like, considering like just jumping out and tuck and roll. Like, we're gonna fucking die. This guy's robbing us. Like, I'm dressed up. I'm full blown for Carnegie Hall. And I'm like, all right, this is it, BB. I'm sorry. We're fucking dead. But the guy was fine. He brought us back to Grand Central. And on the way there, I believe that the fare was around, I don't know, $11. But the guy dropped us off at Grand Central, and I gave him $40 of that thank you for not murdering us money, and I got the fuck out. So that's Uber, guys. That's the that's the risk you take when you're playing around with new and inventive apps. All right. This last one. All right. So ever since I was young, I've always felt like something was just a little bit off. And I remember when I was maybe 11, 12 years old, they started running those commercials for the like Zoloft and certain antidepressants. And I remember watching the commercial for Zoloft with that little, it's like a sad little plop circle guy, and he's just kind of like frowning at butterflies and shit the whole commercial. And I remember as a small child watching that and looking at the television, and my father very tenderly, very lovingly said, "Oh, maybe that's what's wrong with you." And and ever since then, I've always kept my eye on it. I think that it's weird when you're screwing around with your brain like that. But I've always thought that I would be kind of a candidate for these kinds of things. So I had a doctor's appointment on one of the last Palecast. I mentioned that my blood pressure was fairly high, so I scheduled a doctor's appointment, and he started talking to me about how I've been gaining a lot of weight this year, and he's asking me, like what's going on? What's going on, man? And then he was like, sometimes when I see this behavior in people, where they're starting to gain a lot of weight very rapidly, oftentimes they're experiencing a certain level of depression. And then he said, "Do you feel like you're not as willing to get up and leave, to really do anything, to commit? Do you feel tired and lack of energy? You don't care about dressing well. You don't care about shaving?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Which of those?" And I was like, "Yeah, all of them." He's like, "Okay, so it sounds like you might be a little bit depressed." And he talked to me about Lexapro, which is a antidepressant medication. And I explained to him that I was hesitant about it and that I wanted to look it up online and do a little bit of research. And he was like, "All right, well, I want to see you back here in a couple weeks," because at that time he wanted to see if I would lose some weight and get my blood pressure down. So I went home and I went online and started researching, and the comment section for reviews on antidepressants are some of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Like 2 out of 3 are normal, and it'll just be like, "Oh, I was feeling rather sluggish and my doctor recommended," like that kind of bullshit. And then 1 in 3 will just be like, "I fucking love Lexapro. Oh my god, you guys have got to try this," like all this stuff. And it's like, clearly, like, yeah, there's something going on here. So I went back and, he brought it up again, my doctor, and I was, I explained, like, I'm hesitant, like this kind of stuff. And he really talked me into it. So I tried it. I've been taking it for about 2 weeks now. And early on, the first couple of days, I didn't really feel any different. The only thing that I noticed was that I was more willing to talk to strangers. Normally, I kind of shy away from that. And, this really let me open up to people. The only problem is that instinct to not talk to people, I'm right about 90% of the time. Like, I'll just start talking to, like, I don't know, the girl cutting my hair, and I'm trying to make small talk, and then, like, I'm just being bored out of my fucking mind. And I was like, I should have just kept my mouth shut and talked about, like, just said nothing. Or I think I went into I don't know. It was my girlfriend's birthday, and I was gonna go get her. She wanted these bath bombs, which she told me that they sell at the store called Lush. So I called up the Lush in the mall, and I was like, "Hello, do you guys carry a product called a bath bomb?" And she was like, "Yeah, we have bath bombs." And I was like, "Okay, I'll be right there. I'll be the guy that looks like he does not belong." And I drove to the mall, and I went into the store, and I picked out a couple. I picked out 2 bath bombs, all right? $10, all right? That's the entirety of this transaction. And as the girl is ringing me out, I noticed behind her that there's a bag that says, "This generation will end animal testing." And I kind of looked around the store a little bit, and that's like a theme of this place, is that they're against animal testing, and that's part of their mission statement, if you will. Okay? So she's ringing me out, and she goes, "Have you ever shopped with us before?" And I was like, "No, this is my first time. I'm just getting a gift from my girlfriend." "Okay, well, I'll just include some education about our company and what we believe in." And she put in here, I shit you not, a 141-page book about the company and the different things that they carry. All right? This thing is fucking huge. So basically, the policy of the company Lush is and animal testing, and fuck the trees. Kill all the trees, chop them up into books, whether they deserve to or not. Fuck the air, fuck all the animals that need air to breathe. We're chopping them down and we're turning them into literature about fucking eyeliner. I don't know. But yeah, that was an instance where I probably should have just not said a word or whatever. But anyway, back to the Lexapro thing. So I was taking it for a couple days, and as I've talked about before, I do Don Cheadle's grocery shopping. I'm part of a team, all right. So I'm over in produce, and I'm picking up some eggplant, some celery, all this stuff, and I noticed this other guy that I work with over in meat is just staring at me, and I hadn't said anything to him yet, and I was like, hello, and I looked down, I picked out this ripe fucking bomb eggplant, I put it in the bag, and when I look up, this guy is just still just staring at me, all right, and this has been going on for about 2 years, like a solid 2 years. It's this fucking guy, he's like 40 years old, scrawny as all hell, like the little beard, the chain on the wallet. Like, he wears the same fucking Punisher shirt every day, and like the Yankees hat like pulled down right above his eyebrows. This dude is probably about 5'6", like 140 pounds. All right, I'm 6'5", 290. But I'm non-confrontational about things like this, especially at work. Like, I got a good thing going with Mr. Cheadle. I don't want to ruin it. So normally I don't say anything, but I look up again, and this guy is just, he still hasn't moved, hasn't said anything, just staring at me. And I went for it. I was like, what are you looking at? And he just starts laughing at me and doesn't do or say anything else. All right. So I walk away. I got to go do some stuff with some carrots. All right. And now I'm leaving, and we're walking side by side. And I said to him, I thought about it for a second. And normally that's when, I start to think like, all right, yeah, don't do anything. It's not a big deal or whatever. But I just got this voice just said, fuck it, So I turned around and I was like, hey, why is it that every time I've looked up for the past 2 years, you've been staring at me? And this guy's like, Casey, what are you talking about? And I was like, I'm serious, dude. Like, don't pretend like you don't know what's going on. And I was like, anytime that I'm around you, I feel like there's eyes on me. And he's like, is it a problem? I was like, yeah, it's a problem. And he's like, why? I was like, because I don't fucking like you, man. I was like, you're an asshole. He goes, Casey, how am I an asshole? I was like, you're serious right now? Like, you need me to explain this to you? I was like, all right, we'll do this right now. I was like, you're an idiot. You're a drug addict. You're a fucking scumbag. And you're the worst person I've ever met. I said, you stay the fuck away from me. You've been staring at me for 2 years. I don't have to deal with this at work. I got lettuce to pick out. You stay the fuck away from me. All right? And I took off. Next day, we're having our daily little pep talk stuff about how we're gonna get those bargains. And my boss is like, hey, I wanna talk to you. So I go in, I sit down with him. He's like the middleman, He's like the head in charge of grocery services to Mr. Cheadle, and he sits me down in his office, and he's like, I understand that yesterday there was an altercation between you and Eric. He was like, I just wanted to get your side of the story. Told him everything, exactly how it happened, straight out. I didn't say I didn't use the words like asshole or scumbag or anything, but I told him exactly what happened, and he was like, listen, I appreciate your honesty. We got all this stuff. And then I explained to him, I was like, listen, I don't want to put my job at jeopardy. I've been taking these antidepressants for a couple days, and I've read that one of the side effects can be impulsive behavior. And I just wanted to let you know that. And he goes, you know what, Case? I think that you stepped over the line. It's not really that big of a deal. I'm gonna go think about this, and we'll talk at the end of the day. And before I left, he said, hey, Case, I believe it was Socrates and Plato that said, and at this point I'm like, what the fuck ever, dude? Like, so basically in an attempt to connect with me, he quoted Socrates and Plato. And I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, listen, man, I only feign intellect. You know, I can be witty, I can be quick every once in a while, but I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And I left. And basically the next day he explained to me that although I intimidated the shit out of this guy, I didn't think that there would be any problems. He said that they spoke with him. So not only did I get a bunch of stuff off my chest, I got to tell this guy how I really felt, but he was talked to about his behavior. So, you know, try stuff out. Happy ending. Alright, this has been fun. That was Palecast episode 5. Thank you, computer algorithm / maybe like a real person. I want to thank myself for listening to this because I know I'm going to listen to it back. Check out the Friends List podcast featuring me. We try to do one of those a week. Episode 20 should be going up soon. You can find that on Podcast Republic. Once again, that's the Friends List. And you can follow me on Twitter if you want, at whitedudedown. We can play League of Legends. My name on there is YesusBound. And PSN at whitedudedown. Thank you for listening again. Goodbye.